Welcome to the Wargaming Garage and the first part of a three-part narrative campaign called The Uprising. Contact has been lost with this Imperial outpost, and so after a few attempts to re-establish contact with a few scouting parties from the Astra Militarum, it's decided that the Ghosts of the Forge need to go in and try and re-establish contact and exactly find out what is going on at this outpost. As you can see, it's a bit of a setup today, which is nothing that you'll find in any of the match play books or anything. So it's a little bit more narratively themed with this outpost, with a couple of bastions just on the outskirts of the wider plains. As we go further in, we've got the landing pads, and then the actual drills that are coming down looking for whatever it is they're looking for out here in this outpost. So but it's gone quiet, so the ghosts have been sent in to see exactly what's gone on and re-establish contact. So with that, we'll take a look at the armies. So we're starting off today with 1,000 points, roughly 1,000 points of Adeptus Astartes. We are the Ghosts of the Forge, and they're being led today by a new character, Vadak Creed. Creed, you know who you are in the comments, so thank you very much for continuing to watch and contribute. It means a lot. So there you are. They're led today by Captain Creed with his power fist and his plasma pistol, and he's got the enhancement, the war tempered artifice, so he gets +3 to his strength on his melee weapon. So I'm hoping he becomes a bit of a beat stick. Backing him up today is Dalor, Lieutenant Dalor, who is got the mastercrafted bolt gun and a bolt pistol. He's a pretty bog standard lieutenant, but he's got the forged in battle enhancement, so he can change a hit roll or a saving throw to a 6. In addition, they're being supported by 2 squads of assault intercessors. They are as they come, and 2 squads of standard intercessors, a squad of hellblasters with a repulsor. Then we've got an impulsor with a shield dome, and we've got a squad of outriders. So we're going to probably pair these 2 up and lead the hellblaster squad. So they get the lethal hits ability from the lieutenant and can shoot in the turn that they fall back, should they need to fall back. And then everything else is going to be just hooning it up the battle grid to get to the objectives and take care of the enemy. And with that being said, let's move on and see 1,000 points worth of Genestealer cults. So here we have 1,000 points worth of Genestealer cults being led today by a Biophagus. So he has got the enhancement Inscrutable Cunning. So they get the Infiltrator's ability, and each time that select a unit as target of a stratagem, you can roll a d6, and on a 4+ you gain the CP back. Supporting him today is the Nexus, no enhancements with him, He just comes as he is. And then we have 2 squads of neophyte hybrids with a couple of special weapons, heavy weapons in each squad. We've got a squad of aberrants. We've got a squad of acolyte hybrids. We've got a squad of jackals. We've got a ridge runner, and then 2 Goliath trucks with heavy stubbers and autocannons. So, look, it's the first time I'm using Genestealer cults, so those of you who do play them, go easy on me, but that's why I'm starting at 1,000 points for something relatively simple. And so with that, we'll be pairing one of these up with the neophytes and another one up with the other squad of neophytes. Now the Genestealer cults have the ability to, once the squad is destroyed, if it's a battle line squad, then you can roll a dice, and on a certain score they can come back with a marker, and then in the next movement phase that marker is then revealed and the squad is returned as if from strategic reserves. But they get another ability, which is then on that, then they get certain buffs when they come back from the sort of the uprising, if you like, if they came from below or whatever it's called. So that's the Genestealer cult. We'll head on to deployment. So we'll have a little bit of a chat quickly about the mission and about the map. So we're going to be starting at end to end. There'll be a deployment zone this end, and there'll be a deployment zone back up this end, which is within the outpost. There's 2 objectives. Objective here, just outside the drilling structure, and an objective there on the landing pad. You just, at the end of the game, if you hold the objective, you get a point. So it's either going to be, there's a win, loss or draw scenario. So they'll start end to end, and we'll see who holds the objectives at the end of the game. So with that, we'll move on to deployment. So here we are for the deployment. The aberrants are in the truck, as is a squad of neophytes. The other squad is out in the open, and the acolyte hybrids are protecting one of the objectives. And then round to the side here, we've got the ridge runner and the jackals protecting this flank. For the ghosts, we've got a squad of intercessors down on this left hand side, and then another squad of intercessors just behind the trees working their way through into the compound, with the repulsor and the impulsor heading through what looks to be the main gate, with the outriders again coming up the right hand flank. So there we are, we're all set. So all it needs to do now is see who is going first. So I'll use the white dice for the Genestealer cults and the Wargaming Garage dice for the Ghost of the Forge. Now it is narrative, so we can choose based on the result, but let's see. And yeah, I think the Ghosts will take first turn. So with that, move on to Space Marines, turn 1. So after the movement phase for the Ghosts, the Outriders advanced up with their turbo boost ability, and the Impulsor with the Assault Intercessors moved forward into the gateway between the 2 Imperial bastions. Then the Repulsor moved up, carrying the Hellblasters, the other Assault Intercessor squad, the Lieutenant and the Captain. This squad of intercessors advanced, and this squad of intercessors just moved forward behind the barricade. So there's not too much going on shooting wise. There'll be a little bit here and there. The command phase just we chose the Oath of Moment being that first truck just there carrying the Acolyte hybrids. Sorry, not those. The Neophyte hybrids. Sorry. So that's the Oath of Moment target. So then on to the shooting phase. So the only thing in range from the repulsor, we're going to start with that, is the las cannon, the twin link las cannon on the front, and the Hunter Slayer missile that it comes with. The heavy onslaught Gatling cannon and the repulsor defensive array are out of range by a few inches. So it is the Oath of Moment target, so it'll be re-rolling hits. So let's go with the las cannon, hitting on 3s, and it hits. It's strength 12 versus toughness 9, so 3s to wound. It's twin linked, and it wounds. That is -3, so a 6-up save for the truck, but it is getting the benefit of cover because it's not there you can thread the needle, it's not wholly within sight, so, but it fails anyway. That's d6 plus 1 damage for 6 wounds. Okay, so it's only got 4 wounds remaining at this point. So now the Hunter Slayer missile, which hits, strength 14, so 3s to wound, which wounds. That's -3, and it saves because it would have just got that benefit of cover, so not bad. There's not much else that I don't think is going to be in range. The impulsors left to shoot, and then we'll see if those intercessors can see or reach these neophytes. So no, the intercessors can't see, so we're going to go with this impulsor into the Acolyte hybrids that are around this objective. So it gets, the only thing that's in range is going to be the heavy stubber that's on the top. So it gets 3 shots, hitting on 3s. So 2 hits, strength 4, toughness 3, so 3s to wound. There's 2 wounds, and they will get the benefit of cover. So, but there's no AP to that anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. So it is a 5-up. Sorry, the Acolyte hybrids. Just check the save. Well, one's definitely gone through. So that kills 1 hybrid. So we'll take him away shortly. But that is the end of the Ghosts turn 1. So we'll see how the Genestealer cult respond. Genestealer's cult turn 1. So at the end of the Genestealer cult movement phase, we spent a CP on Back to the Shadows, or whatever it is called, and the Acolyte hybrids melted away in front of the Space Marines, back into the shadows, so to speak. This squad of neophytes disembarked from the truck and then made their way towards objective. This truck with the aberrants moved towards the objective to hold that, and then this squad of neophytes moved up, whilst that truck just tried to make a nuisance of itself by moving forward there, and then down the Genestealer cult's right hand flank, the Ridge Runner and the Jackal squad moved up to get themselves into the target rich environment, looking towards the squad of intercessors here, or this squad of intercessors there, or maybe even start putting some hurt onto the repulsor. Now we move on to the shooting phase. So the only thing in range is the grenade launcher that we've given one of the Jackals, which is going to go into this squad of Marines. See if we can just take one out. So we'll start with the crack missile, which misses. Okay, so that was nice and short and sweet. So everything else from the Jackals is out of range, so we'll go on to the Ridge Runner. So we're going to split fire with the Ridge Runner. The stubbers are going to go into this squad of intercessors there, but the mining laser is going to go into the repulsor. So we'll start with the heavy stubber, which is 3 shots. And hitting on 4s. It's 1 hit. Strength 4, toughness 4, so 4s to wound. Doesn't wound. Okay. Now the mining laser, which is D3 shots for the big 3. Excellent. Hitting on 3s. Okay, so 2 hit. Strength 12. So strength 12 versus toughness 12, so 4s to wound. That is 2 wounds. Okay. So that is -3, so it's going to be 6s here. And neither one goes through, so that is D6 plus 1 damage on both. Okay, so that is 14 wounds. Wowzers. So in a heartbeat, the repulsor finds itself the focus attention of a mining laser and finds itself with just 4 wounds remaining. And so with that, we'll move on to this truck here and see if we can do anything to pop that repulsor open and get to the contents inside. So scratch that. We're just a slight change of plan, and we're going to go everything from this neophyte squad. We're going to split fire again. We're going to go all the small arms and light arms into the intercessors over there, and then we've got 2 heavy weapons in that squad. We've got another mining laser and a seismic cannon, which are going to go into the repulsor. So start with the small arms into the intercessors. So 3 hits, 5s to wound, and no wounds. Okay, so we'll start with the mining laser. So it's 1 shot, but it's 5s to hit. Ooh, I saw it for a moment. And then the seismic cannon, which is 4 attacks. That's also 5s to hit. 1 goes through. That's going to be 6s to wound though. Oh, so close. Okay, so now in that case, everything from that truck will go into the repulsor and see if we can get it open. So start with the heavy stubber. It's within rapid fire, so it gets rapid fire 3. So it's hitting on 4s. Okay, I've seen better. 6s to wound. Oh, again. Okay, so now the twin auto cannon hitting on 4s. Okay, both hit. So it's twin linked, so strength 9, toughness 5. So toughness 12, so 5s to wound. And it's twin linked, so we'll re-roll. Okay, 2 wounds go through. It's -1, but it is 3 damage. So 4s, I need both of these to go through. If both of these fail, it's a dead repulsor. 1 goes through, so it's gone down to 1 wound remaining. Oh goodness. So this truck was going into the impulsor over there. It did the heavy stubber off camera, and predictably no wounds. So onto the twin auto cannon, hitting on 4s, and they both miss. No, I've only got 1 CP left, so we'll leave that. So that marks the end of the Genestealer cult turn 1 as well. Not quite getting there with the repulsor, but really heavily damaged. It's stuttering as it tries to maintain its own grav impulse engines, as the repulsor tries to head one last gasp of breath towards the enemy, and then spits out its cargo. So with that, we'll move on to Ghosts of the Forge, the Space Marines, turn 2. during the command phase for the Space Marines, we actually selected this unit here as the Oath of Moment unit. Not too fussed. This unit here has had its inhabitants disembark, so they're all over here. We want to get rid of this squad. They're right in front of the repulsor. It'll be the last thing it really does, is sort of put everything into that and try and see if we can get a 2-for-1 and get rid of the neophytes and get rid of the Goliath truck. Now the repulsor is hissing and smoking, and everything else that could possibly be going wrong with it is going wrong with it, but we're giving it every chance it can by making this the Oath of Moment unit, so it's -1 to hit now is something that we can re-roll. We've moved up across the line. Everything stayed embarked for now, because we want to see if we can clear some routes through and then disembark, probably hopefully in during turn 2 and into turn 3. So that all being said, we'll head on to the shooting phase. So here's the defensive array shots. There's 18 shots coming in, hitting on 4s now. After the re-roll, we only dropped 4 shots. So strength 4 versus toughness 3, so 3s to wound. Okay. So no AP, that's 12 wounds, 12 5-up saves. Not bad. Now 12 shots with the heavy onslaught Gatling cannon. And after the re-rolls, 2s to wound and devastating wounds on top. So that's 1 devastating wound. We've dropped a couple. So that is 6 more saves to make. Okay, so again, 6 5-ups, there's no AP on the Gatling cannon. Okay, so devastating wound, that is 2, 4, 5. That is the squad, and then 1 goes on to the Nexus. Okay, so now that enemy unit is destroyed, we get to enact the cult ambush rule for the Genestealer cults. It had a slight tweak when the data slate came out, but basically on a 5-up, if it's a battle line unit on a 5-up, you can return it an identical unit using a marker, but you add 1 if it's a battle line unit, and you add 1 if it is the first or second battle round. So that basically means on a 3-up, that unit will come back. On a 5, you get to place a marker anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away horizontally from any enemy units. As our objective is to hold this objective here and this one here, we're going to place the marker just at the bottom here, behind this building and underneath the crane and the drill. With that, we'll head on to the rest of the shots from the las cannons going into the Goliath. So hits on 4 and it misses anyway. Okay, so that Goliath truck gets to last a little bit longer. So we'll see what else there is left to shoot. So moving around to this squad of intercessors, we're going to put everything into the jackals here. So they'll get 10 shots hitting on 3s. So 10 shots hitting on 3s. Strength 4 versus toughness 4 for the jackals, so wounding on 4s. So 3 wounds go through, no AP, so 3 5-up saves for the jackals. Okay, okay. We'll then go for that squad of intercessors, their only real viable target. We'll probably put some into this squad of neophytes. Let's see if we can reach them. So yeah, we're going to put everything into the neophytes on top by the objective, so hitting on 3s. Wounding on 3s. So that's 4 wounds, 4 5 up saves. Okay, so 2 go through. So there's 6 shots coming in from the Iron Hail Heavy Stubber on the impulsor into the truck, the unwounded one. Okay, so 4 hits. 6 is to wound, mind. And no wounds there. Okay, so we'll do the rest off camera. The Outrider squad and the Stormbolters we'll do off camera. So predictably nothing happened with the strength of those weapons versus the truck's toughness. So with that we'll move on to charges. So there's going to be 3 charges across the board. We're going to go for the intercessors into the Ridge Runner, just try and hold it up. We're going to go for intercessors into the truck again to hold it up, and then we're going to go a long bomb charge from the Outriders into the truck. Just try and get some movement up the board, up the battles grid, and just try and hold a few things up. So we'll start with the first squad of intercessors over on the right hand flank for the Genestealer cult, and they're in. And the same with the intercessor squad in the centre, they're in. And then the long bomb charge for the Outriders needing 11, not quite. Okay, so with that we'll move the intercessors in and we'll go from there. So we'll start with the squad that's attacked the Ridge Runner to try and hold that up. So it's 15 attacks, there's 5 Astartes in there with 3 attacks each, hitting on 3s. Oh. So strength 4 versus toughness 7, so 5's to wound. That is 2 wounds. Okay, so 2 3 up saves. Of course. So the Ridge Runner has 6 wounds remaining. Okay, we'll make a mark of that. And then rinse and repeat into the Goliath truck. We'll come back in a sec. So after all that, 1 wound came through, which the Goliath truck has a 3 up save, and it saved it. So predictably, nothing happened. So the Ridge Runner, well, whilst at the Goliath truck, we'll get it to fight back. So 3 attacks, hitting on 4s. Okay, 1 hit. Winning on 3s, which it wounds. And does a wound to an Astarte. Does a wound to one of them. And then 3 attacks from the Ridge Runner. And none of them hit. Okay. So that marks the end of the Space Marines' turn. So let's see how the Genestealer cults retaliate. There will be a squad returning, and we also have the Acolyte hybrids to come back from Deep Strike. So let's see where they turn up and see what hassle they bring with them in Genestealer cults turn 2. So at the end of the Genestealer cults movement phase, during the reinforcement steps, the Acolyte hybrids have appeared from Deep Strike. The Ridge Runner pulled back. The Atalan Jackals again came round the corner onto this squad of Astartes. The Goliath truck fell back, and then round the other side, the Aberrants and the Abhorrent disembarked from the truck to take line of sight on those Outriders. So the Genestealer cult have drawn the Astartes in, they've drawn the Ghost of the Forge in, and now they're going to start to try and launch their attack proper. So we'll start with the demolition run from the Jackals into that squad of intercessors. So there's 4 in the squad, so for each 4 up it'll be a mortal wound. Ooh, so they kill 1.5. So sticking with the Jackals, we'll do the Atalan Incinerator for 3 shots. Strength 5, toughness 4, so 3's to wound. So 2 wounds at -1, 1 damage. the Astartes armour holds firm. So then we've got some small arms. So 4 hits. So strength 4, toughness 4, so 4's to wound. So 1 wound, and again the armour holds firm. So we'll move on to this squad of neophytes. We'll just check the distance, but certainly the heavy weapons, the mining laser is eyeing up that repulsor. So the hybrid firearms. I get 3 hits. 5's to wound. We get 1 wound. Can we polish off that marine? No, we can't. Okay, so now the seismic cannon. Let me check its distance actually. Okay, some extra shots in from the firearms because of rapid fire. That's 1 wound. And that does kill that marine. So now the seismic cannon gets 4 shots with rapid fire 2, which is in the half range, so hitting on 5s. Okay, so 1 hit, 3's to wound, doesn't wound. Okay. So now the mining laser into the repulsor. 5's to hit. Oh, and it hits, all right. Okay. Strength 12, 4's to wound. And it wounds. It is -3. It'll be D6 plus 1 damage. And the repulsor makes the save. So we'll come round to this Goliath truck splitting its fire. The stubbers will go into the auto outriders and the auto cannons will go into the impulsor. So we'll start with the heavy stubbers. Okay. Fives to wound. The 2 wounds. And 1 goes through. Okay, so 1 wound taken on the outriders. So now the twin auto cannons into the impulsor. 1 hits and it wounds, and that was a 4, so it's a save. Okay, so with that, really the sort of pitter patter of small arms fired to a degree. Then we'll go on to the charge phase, and there's going to be charges across the board. The aberrants and the abhorrent are going to go into the outriders, the jackals are going to go into the remaining intercessors, and the acolyte hybrids are going to charge the intercessors here. So the aberrants, let's just see what distance they get with this. Are pretty much in with a 5, they're all in. The jackals, they're in with an 8. So now really it's the acolyte hybrids, and we'll use a CP to re-roll that, and they just fall short. Okay, so we'll move the others in and move on to the fight phase. So we'll start with the jackals, and they're going into the intercessors with the power weapons. So 2 attacks each, hitting on 4s. Oh, that isn't bad. That isn't bad. So strength 4 versus toughness 4, so 4's to wound. Let's get that again, we'll be happy. Okay, so 3 wounds go through at -2, so 5 up saves. And okay, it does 1 damage. Okay, all right, 1 damage. So now we move on to the aberrants as they raise their heavy improvised weapons and bring them to bear on the outriders. Okay, so a lot of attacks, and they get sustained hits as well. Okay, whilst the aberrant is leading them. So here we go. So all this lot hitting on 3s. Oh, and there's some sustained hits in there too. So after all that, we only drop 2. So strength 6, toughness 5, 3s to wound. Okay, so 13 came through once I'd realised I'd done the hypermorph in there as well. So so all those come through, no AP, but 2 damage each. Oh dear. Kills 1, kills 2, kills 3. That's the squad of Outriders gone. That's before the hypermorph or the aberrant even, or abominant even got to strike. Good work. So we'll do the 3 attacks back with the intercessors into the jackals. So 9 attacks, hitting on 3s. Strength 4 versus toughness 4, so 4s to wound. So 3 wounds come through, no app. And that kills 1 on 1 wound and puts a wound on another one. Okay. So at the end of turn 2 for the Genestealer cult, they've sprung somewhat of a trap and dealt with the Outriders squad, some of the faster moving parts of the Ghosts army, but there's still a fair way to go. Will the Ghosts be able to keep pushing forward, making headway towards objectives? We're already at turn 3 for the Ghosts of the Force. Time is running out. So how will the Ghosts deal with it? Will they have some of their own tricks up their sleeve as we go on to the Ghosts of the Forge, turn 3? At the end of the Ghost movement phase for turn 3, we've disembarked with the Assault Intercessors and then the Impulsor with its squad of Intercessors still on it has moved up to start to contest that objective. The Impulsor also had the Hellblasters with Kadak, Creed and the Lieutenant disembark and then just shuffled forward slightly to take line of sight on this fully healthy Goliath truck over on the left-hand flank for the Genestealers cult. This squad of Intercessors just fell back, opening up this squad of Jackals as a target, and then this squad of Intercessors just moved forward, ready to bear down on the Acolyte hybrids. So a bit of movement all round. We've chosen that far truck, the healthy truck, as the Oath of Moment target, because I want to give this Impulsor as much of a chance as it can with its las cannons into that truck, and just see if we can either wound it but certainly do something against it. So with that, we'll move on to the Ghost shooting phase. So we did the defensive array off camera into the Jackals, getting 8 wounds. So 8 5-up saves for the Jackals. Okay, 4 wounds go through. So we just rolled off camera for the heavy onslaught Gatling cannon, and with devastating wounds, we scored 3 wounds on that. So the wolf quad, sorry, wouldn't get a save. I mean, to be fair, it's then would have had a further 5 to make, so would have been slain anyway against that. So with that, we'll move on to the las cannons going into the Goliath truck. So that's the Oath of Moment target, so hitting on 4s because he's only got 1 wound left still, but still able to deal some hurt. So hitting on 4s but re-rolling, which is a good job. Okay, so 2 hits, strength 12 versus toughness 9, so 3s to wound. That's 2 wounds go through on the Goliath truck. I don't think it'll get any cover from this one, so it is -3, so 2 6s required, and we get 1. Absolutely brilliant. So it is D6 plus 1 wounds. For 7 wounds go through. That Goliath truck has 3 remaining. So as the Atalan Jackals were destroyed, they do have the cult ambush keyword, but they aren't battle line, and we are after the first or second battle round. So on the 5 up, they'll be placed into cult ambush. Oh yes. So we've placed the marker just down here in the corner. So with that, we'll move on to the Hellblasters, see if we can finish off this Goliath truck. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to put these Hellblasters into this Goliath truck here, the Oath of Moment unit. So we're hitting on 3s, because we've got a lieutenant in the squad, 6s are lethal hits, and we're re-rolling all hits because of the Oath of Moment. So we've got 2 that have wounded already, and 2 that have missed. Do I fish for 6s? Yes. Okay, so I've made it a whole lot worse. Okay, but 3 have gone through and 4 have missed. So 5s to wound now, so because we're overcharging everything. So it is strength 8 versus toughness 9, so 5s to wound. So that is 4 wounds that have gone through on the Goliath truck. So -2, so -3 even, so 6 is required to save the truck, and not a 1. So does the truck explode? Yes, it does. Excellent. So it's D3 wounds to the Impulsor for 3, and D3 wounds to the Assault Intercessors for 1. So 1's just tickled a little bit. Okay, I'll mark those up in a moment, but in the meantime, how many of the Hellblasters actually perish for being hazardous? 1 does. 1 actually goes kersplat as his plasma incinerator blows up in his hands. Excellent. So now we're going to start to concentrate fire on this squad of neophyte hybrids up here. So start with the Impulsor with its Sunbolters. 3s to wound. Oh dear, oh dear. So 2 wounds go through, and they're both failed. Okay. And so the heavy stubber comes in. Threes to wound. And here, I need 2 more again. Okay. And another one goes. So as we've gone into tactical doctrine for the Space Marines that were back there for this battle round, the squad that fell back are going to take a pot shot at the remaining neophytes. Okay, not bad. So again, 3s to wound. So 3 wounds come through, and again 2 more go and 1 saves. Round on this flank here, the Intercessors let loose their bolt rifles into the Acolyte hybrids. And managed to miss a number of times. Strength 4 versus toughness 4, so 4s to wound. Wow, okay. And so 1 does perish. Okay. Lieutenant Dalor raises his bolt rifle and takes aim into the neophyte hybrids. Let's see what he can do. He hits both times. He wounds once. let's use a CP. He wounds once. And another perishes. And so now it's left. Let's see if Kadak Creed's trusted plasma pistol is in range. Oh yes, it is. So hits on 2s. It hits. Wounds on 2s. It wounds. And definitely no save for one of the heavy weapon specialists in that neophyte squad. So the last bit of shooting will go from these assault intercessors into the aberrants. So hitting on 3s. Strength 4, toughness 6, so wounding on 5s and nothing doing. So with that, we'll move on to the Ghost of the Forge charge phase, and there'll be some charges declared. This squad of Hellblasters, Captain Creed and Lieutenant Dallor will go into the Goliath truck and into the Nexus. The assault intercessors will go into the aberrants and the abominant. And around this side, the intercessors will go into the acolytes and see what they can do there. So let's roll for some charges. We'll start with the assault intercessors. They're in with a 6. The standard intercessors are just in with a 5. And then Creed and his squad. Let's check that with a 6. Hang on. So I'm going to start with the assault intercessors because the Genestealer cult do have enough CP to interrupt across the board. Then this is the most threat to the ghost if we don't deal with it first. So assault intercessors have a rule that allows them to re-roll hit rolls of 1, and I've spent a CP on the chapter so they get the lance ability, because otherwise we're wounding on 5s, so now we're wounding back on 4s. Because the strength of the attack isn't greater than the toughness of those aberrants, their rule won't kick in for hulking bodyguards where they subtract 1 from the wound roll. So so here we go. So hitting on 3s. So it would be 5s, but now wounding on 4s. Oh dear. So the chainsaw's -1. They have a 5-up save, so it becomes a 6-up save, but I can't kill the squad. So that's all gone through, but they have a 4-up feel no pain. Okay, so after that, only 1 dies. Oh God. Oh dear. So after all the attacks from the intercessors came through on the acolytes, only 2 wounds were successful. So that is 2 5-up saves, of which we make 1 and fail 1. So that's 1 more acolyte hybrid gone. So we'll start with Creed as he raises his power fist and he enacts his finest hour and adds 3 to his attack characteristics and devastating wounds into the mix as well. So the power fist hits on 2s. Unbelievable scenes. And we still managed to drop 1. Okay. So it is strength 8. This is toughness 9. So it is 5s to wound, but we have devastating wounds on any 6s that we get. And we get none, but we do wound twice. Okay, has to fail both of these in order to survive. It has to pass both of these, sorry, in order to survive. A failure will see that Goliath truck demise. And it makes 1. So it's down to 2 wounds remaining. So 2 of the Hellblasters take aim at the Nexus. Wounding on 3s. So that is 4 wounds come through. So that'll be 5 up stage for the Nexus. And with that, the Nexus is dragged down. But maybe we'll see him again. We'll soon find out in part 3, I'm sure. So the Hellblasters took aim at the Goliath truck and 1 wound came through, which it passes. So no problem there. Now the Lieutenant takes aim. So 5 attacks hitting on 2s. Still misses with the trucks right in front of you, you buffoon. And another wound goes through. But again, the Goliath truck stands firm. And so with that, it's now time for them to fight, for the Genestealer cult to fight back. So the Acolyte hybrids start to fight back to the Intercessors. And now 3 attacks each, hitting on 3s. Not bad. They could reroll wounds at hit rolls of 1, but we didn't get any. So strength 4, toughness 4, so 4s to wound. So 3 wounds go through at -1. And that does tickle an Intercessor. So now we look at go over to the Aberrants and the Abominant hitting back to the Assault Intercessors. And we'll start with the Aberrants. That's 15 attacks, hitting on 3s, and whilst the Abominant is leading the unit, they get sustained hits 1. Not bad at all. So they've actually hit more times than they have attacks. So it's strength 6, toughness 4, so 3s to wound. Okay. So that's 9 go through. There's no AP on these, but it is damage 2. So here we go. Only 1 goes, only 1 fails. That's not so bad. That's not so bad. So now the Hypermorph strikes out, hitting on 3s. Okay. Wounding on 2s, and that's -2, 3 damage. That kills 2 more. So it leaves 2 left as the Abominant raises its power sledgehammer and hits on 3s. Oh. We'll spend a CP. Okay, so with sustained hits, that's 2 hits come through. 2s to wound. Okay, that's 2 wounds come through. -2. Definitely dead. D6 +1 on the first one. Takes 6 wounds and only takes 2 wounds. So 1 is absolutely smushed into the ground, and then the backwash from the power sledgehammer takes the other one out, and with that, the whole squad of Assault Intercessors is dealt with in 1 go. We did the fight back with the Goliath truck off camera. It actually did do 1 wound to a Hellblaster, but that brings the Ghosts of the Forge turn 3 to an end, and a bit of a trade. We managed to get rid of one of the trucks, but we know that one of the Jackal units might be coming back, depending on what we do next turn. And also, we lost a squad of Assault Intercessors. So let's see what the Genestealer cult can bring to bear and see how they can deal with the Ghosts of the Forge now heavily into their lines as we go on to Genestealer cult turn 3. So at the end of the movement phase for the Genestealer cult, we have brought this squad of neophytes round under the drill, so they're within range of the objective, and we've brought the Aberrants and the Abominant up, so they're in a charge range of the Impulsor. The Goliath truck stayed in combat and attempted to just try and hold things up a little bit longer. The Ridge Runners just moved around, adjusted slightly to take aim at the Impulsor, try and finish it off once and for all, and then as a fail safe, there's another heavy mining laser up on top here, which can take line of sight into the impulsor or into the repulsor if needed. So we'll start with the Ridge Runner, and it's going to start off with some tracer heavy stubbers into the repulsor. It is in rapid fire range, so let's see how we get on. So hitting on 4s, not too bad, not too bad. So strength 4, toughness 12, so 6 is to wound without that, but it is twin linked. Okay, so re-roll, and it gets one. It gets one. That's all it needs. So all we have to do it is a save or die situation for the repulsor, and it saves. Okay, so with that we go on to the mining laser, which is D3 shots for the big 3. Hitting on 4s. All 3 hit, wounding on 4s. 1 wound. Let's spend a CP. It pays off, so 2 wounds come through. It is -3, so it's a 6 up or die situation for the repulsor, and it definitely dies. So does it blow up? Not quite, not quite, but that is the end of the repulsor. A thorn in the Genestealer cult side this game so far. So everything from this squad down here in amongst the drill goes into the impulsor, and so far nothing, but the seismic cannon has done 1 wound. So it's -1, but the impulsor passes. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to actually fire this mining laser and mining laser from here into the impulsor. So it'll be so 2 shots, hitting on 5s. Ah, that'll be that then. Okay, no problem. We'll leave it to the aberrants to actually deal with the impulsor and the contents inside. And with that, we will actually move on to the charge phase. So we'll charge the aberrants into the impulsor, and on the 7, they're well in. So all the attacks from the aberrants are going to go into the impulsor, and again sustained hits, hitting on 3s. Not so great that time. So strength 6 versus toughness 9, so 5s to wound on this one, so that's the kicker. But we do get 4 through. That's 4 3-up saves for the impulsor, and it takes another wound. So now 3 attacks come in from the hypermorph, and they get a sustained hit. Again, 5s to wound, and fails to wound. And now 3 attacks come in from the abominant himself. Okay, so 2 hit, 3s to wound. That's 2 wounds go through, so that is 2 5-up saves for the impulsor. Oh, and it makes them both. Okay, so the power sledgehammer just skims off the armor of the impulsor, off the tough hide. That's time across the board for the Ghost of the Force to strike back, and we'll start with these intercessors over here. So that's 15 attacks coming in from the intercessors, hidden on 3s. Winning on 4s. So 5 saves required, and the last 2 from the squad perish. Do they go into cult ambush? No, not this time. So we fought back with the truck off camera, but nothing doing. So now Creed raises his power fist once more and strikes the truck and hits all the times. Strength 8 versus toughness 9 though still, so 5s to wound. 2 wounds come through, so it will be a 5-up save for the truck, or it will demise. And it makes neither. Does it blow up? No. So Creed single-handedly just finishes the truck off, tears it in half with his power fist, and then him and his Hellblasters take sight on the Biophagus. So that marks the end of the Genestealer Cult turn 3. Some damage dealt, but quite a few assets lost in retaliation. So the Ghosts of the Forge are starting to hone in on the objectives. So let's see what they can do as we go on to Space Marines turn 4. So at the end of the movement phase for the Ghost of the Forge, during the command phase we selected the Aberrants as the Oath of Moment target. This squad of intercessors here advanced forward. We went into the tactical doctrine so they can advance and still do some shooting. And then we advanced this squad up as well. They got a whopping 6. Actually, we just moved this squad actually, but they got a whopping 6. Because we're looking to make a charge if we can. It's going to be a long bomb charge there. A bit of a less so for the Hellblasters. We're going to start trying to get on these objectives if we can. The Impulsor that the assault intercessors disembarked, and the Impulsor moved round and got itself within range of the marker for the Jackal squad, so that the ghosts on the Auspex just disappeared and vanished as that Jackal squad moved off elsewhere. So with that, we'll move on to the shooting phase. It's going to be not that much, just a pitter-patter really. So we're going to go and we're going to focus our fire on this Genestealer Cult unit over here, the Aberrants. So we're going to put everything from the Hellblaster squad into it, but we are spending a CP, which is 1 with a darkness. So they can only be targeted if you're within 12, which the squad is, but they're -1 to hit. So we'll move on to that. So we're going to go with the Hellblaster squad then into the Aberrants. We are overcharging. So we're hitting on 4s though because of the Into the Darkness stratagem used by the Genestealer Cult. Okay, so we've dropped 3. Now it would be 3s to wound, but because the strength is higher than the toughness of the unit, the Aberrants get -1 to wound. So it's back to wounding on 4s. It makes a difference in one case. That's 3 wounds come through. I don't think they get a save. It's a 5-up save. So we'll see how we get onto the feel no pains, should I say. So they have a 4-up feel no pain, and they're 3 wounds each. So yeah. So the first one takes no pain, and he still does no pain, and then yeah, fine. Okay, so basically no wounds done to the Aberrants. Okay, Captain Creed raises his plasma pistol and hits and wounds. Feel no pain. Yeah, so it takes 1 wound, so one's got 2 wounds remaining. And then Dalor, Lieutenant Dalor, raises his Master Bolter rifle, hits both times, and doesn't wound. Okay. With that, we'll move on to the assault intercessors. Hit you on 4s. Wounding on 5s. 1 wound comes through. And that takes another one, or does it? No, it doesn't, it ignores it. That squad can't shoot because I don't want to shoot this squad, I want to charge it. And both this squad and this squad are out of range of the aberrants. So we'll put our shots into this squad of neophytes down here. This rear 2 aren't in range, but those are and those 3 are. So we'll roll those 6 together. All going into the neophytes. So 3 to wound. Okay, so that's 4 wounds. They will get cover. It makes no odds anyway. It kills 4 of them. So the impulsor came in and shot into the neophytes and killed 4 more, leaving just the 2 heavy weapon specialists in that squad. So with that, we'll move on to the charge phase. So we're going to charge the assault intercessors into the aberrants, and we're going to charge Captain Creed into the biophagus squad there. And we will try a pretty long bomb charge from this squad as well, just to start getting bodies on this objective. So start with the assault intercessors. They're just in with the 4. I don't think they fancy it, to be honest. Captain Creed, he's definitely in with a 9. And then the long charge from the intercessors. A 9, we'll check it and see, but I don't think that's going to make it. So we managed to get Captain Creed in. They were just outside, and then the assault intercessors go into the aberrants. And we'll start there because of the chance to interrupt. And we'll kick off with the assault intercessors hitting on 3s. And here's the rerolls for the oath of moment. So we drop 2, so 13 hits come in. Now we're wounding on 5s. Oh dear. So 6 wounds come through. I think it's -1 for the chain sword, so 6 6s. Let's see how we get on. We don't make any, but now we have a 4 up, feel no pain. We just dropped 1 wound. That leaves 1 aberrant on 1 wound remaining. Okay. So Creed instructs his Hellblasters to bring down that last remaining neophyte whilst he concentrates on the biophagus. So all these attacks hitting on 3s. Wounding on 3s. Okay. So that's 5 up saves for the neophyte to make. So we'll do it one at a time because then they'll spill over onto the biophagus. Nope, he's dead. So those will spill over now onto the biophagus. So he has a 5 up save as well, but 3 wounds. So let's see if we can make any. He does, with 1 wound remaining. So now Creed raises his power fist. Hits on 2s. And basically kills on 2s. And with that, the biophagus takes 6 more wounds and is completely, utterly smushed. Or is he? Again, as we're late onto the game now, so we'll see if that battle line squad, the neophyte hybrids, come back. No, they don't. they've disappeared into the winds. And with that, we'll fight back now with the aberrants. So the heavy improvised weapons swing out towards the assault intercessors, hitting on 3s, and 6s explode. Okay. So wounding on 3s. Dear. So 11 wounds come through. There's no AP on these. But any of them fail, it's a dead intercessor. That's 1 dead, 2 dead, 3 dead, 4 dead, 5 dead. And that's the squad. So at the end of the ghost turn, really successful in terms of taking over one objective, but there's still this big problem over here to deal with. So what will we do? What will the Genestealer cult do in their turn 4? So that was a really quick movement phase for the Genestealer cult. What we've done here is brought the heavy weapons round for the neophyte squad, and we're splitting fire with those. The seismic cannon is going to go into that squad of intercessors there, and then the heavy mining laser is going to go into the impulsor. Spent a CP on a perfect ambush. It doesn't seem like it, but there is always ways. So we improved the ballistic skill and the armor penetration by 1. So we're hitting on 4s now, which is very nice indeed. So the seismic cannon into the intercessors. That's not bad. 3 hits. Strength 6 versus toughness 4, so 3s to wound. So it's 2 wounds. Now at -2, and 1 goes through for D3 wounds. There is 1 guy left on 1 wound, so he perishes. And so now the mining laser into the impulsor, hitting on 4s. Spend a CP to reroll that. Now it hits. Excellent. 3s to wound. Okay, looks like the aberrants have got to do it themselves, and with that we'll head on to the charge phase, and it will just be the aberrants into the impulsor. And on a 12 they more than get in, and they must be quite angry. So here we go, everything into the impulsor. So we start with the aberrants and their heavy improvised weapons, hitting on 3s. 6s exploding. That isn't too bad at all. And strength 6 versus toughness 9 though, so 5s to wound. Again, that's not too bad at all. So 8 3-up saves, each failed one doing 2 damage, and we've got 7 wounds to get through. And so far it just takes 2 wounds. There's 5 wounds left. So the hypermorph with its heavy power weapon hits all the times. Still 5s to wound. 1 wound comes through, it's -2 and does 3 damage. So that leaves the impulsor with 2 wounds left, and the abominant raises its power sledgehammer and hits and explodes. Strength 12, so 3s to wound. I will spend a CP. So 2 wounds come through, -2. And that with that, that's D6 + 1, so it would have done a grand total of 7 damage. And with that, does the impulsor explode? No. So the impulsor just, its grav mechanics just crumple. They tear the thing apart and slaughter the crew inside. And with that, marks the end of Genestealer Cult turn 4. So at the end of the Ghosts movement phase here, and during the command phase, Creed ordered the ghosts into the assault doctrine, so they can advance and charge. So these two squads, came up onto this objective to secure that under Creed's orders. Whilst Creed's had enough, he's had enough of these aberrants. They've just done so much wanton destruction to the ghost forces. He has had enough and wants to deal with them once and for all. So he's brought his squad of Hellblasters down, and himself and the lieutenant. The Genestealer cult, as we go into the shooting phase, have respent another CP into the darkness again. So they're -1 to hit and can only be targeted inside 12 inches. So with that, we'll go on to the shooting phase. So there's 4 Hellblasters left. They are overcooking, and they're hitting on 4s now. Okay. Because the strength is higher, it would be wounding on 3s, but because they're -1 to wound with the aberrants, it becomes 4s again. So 4 wounds go through. They are 2 damage each. So there's no save. It's -3. There's no invulnerable save or anything with the aberrants. So the first one is 1-on-1 wound, so it has feel no pain, which it makes both of them. Second one, so that one then dies. The third set of wounds that come through, it's got 2 wounds remaining. And the last set, it's got 1 wound remaining. Okay. Let's see if any of the Hellblasters perish. 2 do, yeah. Okay, great. So the lieutenant raises his master crafted bolt rifle, hits both times, wounds once. It fails, feel no pain. Yep, and kills that 1-on-1 wound. So we're getting there, And now Creed raises his plasma pistol and hits, doesn't wound. Okay. Just on to the charge phase now. So we are going to charge the aberrants with the remnants of Creed's squad and see what we can do. So we're going to declare a charge against both the neophyte squad and the aberrants. It's an 8-inch charge to get to both. Here we go. Nope. I'm going to spend a CP. And yes, they're in. So we'll start with the lieutenant and Hellblaster. They've been given the orders to take out the neophytes. So we'll do the lieutenant, who's hitting on 2s and drops 2, and the Hellblaster, who drops 1. Then the profile's all the same after that, so 3s for wound. Okay, so 2 5-up saves for the neophytes, and 1 makes 1, 1 fails 1. So we'll just do the neophyte fighting back first, who hits once and doesn't wound. There we go. So now we'll go on to Creed. And Creed, we'll do the Hellblaster first actually. Save the best till last. Hits twice, wounds once, but saves. So now Creed raises his power fist, hits on 2s. He hits 4 of the times. It would be 3s, So it's now falls to wound because the strength is higher than the toughness. That is 2 wounds go through. That is -2, so the aberrants don't get a save. So it's 2 damage. So the first one, nothing felt. The second one, nothing. So no wounds caused by Creed's Power Fist. And now the aberrants strike back. So there's 1 aberrant remaining, who, and then the hypermorph. So we'll start with the aberrant, who hit on 3s. And 2 of those explode, so he ends up with more hits than he has attacks. Strength 6 versus toughness 4, so 3s to wound. And that is not bad. That is 5 wounds come through. Now, there's no AP on this, so let's start off with the first. Let's start with Hellblaster at a time. Kills 1 Hellblaster. The second remaining Hellblaster is fine. Is fine. And the second Hellblaster dies. And so now on to allocating the wounds, and I'll go on to the Lieutenant, who is fine. Okay, so those 2 Hellblasters have gone. So now we're going to direct the hypermorph into Captain Creed. Who hits 2 of the times. Again, strength 8, so 2s to wound. 2 wounds come through, and that'll be on the 4-up invulnerable save, because it's -2, so 4-up invulnerable save of Captain Creed, which he makes both. And so now the Abominant raises his power sledgehammer and hits on 3s, and gets 1 exploding hit. He's still leading the unit. 2s to wound, and drops 1, so that's 3 wounds come through. In fact, well, CP it was, may as well. So 4 wounds come through onto Creed. So 4 up invulnerable saves. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! I'm going to have to spend a CP just to try and help in any way whatsoever. Oh, it still doesn't help. So that is 3d6 plus 1 for each one. So Creed takes 2, 4, 11 wounds. As the Lieutenant screams Creed's name, there's a bright flash of light as Creed is teleported back to the battle barge in orbit. And all that remains is Lieutenant Dalor left to deal with the aberrants and the neophyte as we go on to Genestealer Cult, turn 5. So as we go into Genestealer Cult, turn 5, the Ridge Runner brings itself round. The aberrants just fall back out of combat, as does the neophyte, leaving the Lieutenant exposed. So can the Genestealer Cult literally shoot the Lieutenant in the back? So we'll start with some twin, some heavy stubbers. We're in rapid fire range, so they get extra 3 shots. Hit on 4s. I'm going to spend a CP on Armour of Contempt. It may help me later. By the Lieutenant. So hitting on 4s. Okay. I don't think it's going to be his day. Strength 4, toughness 4, so 4s to wound. Ooh, not bad at all. Okay, so just 1 wound comes through. There's no AP on this one, and he saves it. So now the heavy mining laser, which for D3 shots, for just the one shot. I'm gonna CP that for 3 shots. Much better. Hitting on 4s. Just the one hit. 2s to wound, and it wounds. Thankfully it's not devastating or anything. So -3 becomes -2 because of Armour of Contempt, but he still fails it. I will spend a CP, and now he saves it. So the Lieutenant manages to hold. But as the Aberrants have fell out of combat, there's no chance for them to, I don't think any strats either to fall back and charge. So with that, that marks the end of the Genestealer cult turn, and that marks the end of the battle. And with the 3 Aberrants left, the 2 Aberrants left and the Abominant, the Neophyte, the Genestealer cult hold this objective. And so the game, this particular part of the Uprising, finishes a draw with one objective held by the intercessors as they secured that and go to dig deeper into this complex. And then over this side, they've held it, and then the Aberrants will melt away into the shadows, I'm sure to be seen again. Lieutenant Dalor joins the rest of the intercessors as they start to make this outpost secure and dig deeper into the complex and see exactly what the Genestealer cult were up to. And that concludes part 1 of the Uprising. I do hope you've enjoyed it, and I do hope to see you again for part 2. See you soon.